Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And I think we're about done, and I'm not going to be very long. I'm going to be very brief. And I just wanted to thank the Prime Minister for inviting the Marshall Islands to be part of this important process, the Talanoa dialogue. And you know, you guys have heard so many stories coming out from the Pacific, the Marshall Islands, the Fiji, and all of that. And I am not going to bore you with the same stories that we've been telling for the last year or so. But I think one particular stories that I will be sharing with you is the how do we get there? Because I think it's important how do the rapid transition to a net zero emissions society is very important, because we need to, how do we get there? Because we've been, you know, doing a lot of talking, and, you know, but at the end of the day, is how do we get there? So I am, you know, happy to invoke a very famous saying coined by our very own late Tony DeBroom, who said that the ocean is actually made out of many, many drops. And each of us carries a drop. And if you take care of your drop, and if he take care of his drop, and if she does, and I do, then we can take care of the world. And it is very important to understand that even though the Marshall Islands or the Pacific Island countries in general, we account for 0.001% of the global emission. But then California is actually account for 1%. But in order to get to 1%, you need to start 0.001 before you get to 1. So cumulatively, everyone is responsible to actually reverse the trend of climate change. So what have we done? What are we doing? Three basic fundamentals of the journey that I think should galvanize all of us. In the way I see this, three basic fundamentals is innovation, policy, and finance. And if you look at the basic fundamental of economics, it basically based on land, labor, and capital. So going back to the fundamentals that I'm talking about, that how we can actually reverse climate change and put it to rest forever, is innovation. Because if we, the human ingenuity, have the innovation to transform technology, then comes policy. Policy will enable all of that. But none of that will ever happen if we don't have the financing to do it. So in the case of the Marshall Islands, we have actually done what we call the 2050 strategy that will transition the entire Marshall Islands economy into zero emission by 2050 or earlier. And we have all of that in place, and we have the tools and the mechanism, but what we relax is the financing mechanism of it. So we've actually partnered up with Tesla, and I'm sure the Tesla representative is here, in trying to secure concessional financing from the ADFD, or Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, which is about $11 million to transform 3 of our mini-grid in the country. Because if we do that, then we will actually displace up to close to about 1 million gallons of fuel a year, which accounts for about $2 million or $3 million worth of our national resource financing. So with this transition, with this initiative that we've done with both with the concessional financing and the technology that is available, we're able to transition that particular part of our economy into 100% renewable. Now, in order for us to be able to transition the entire economy, is going to take innovative financing that is to be made available. So what we need to do as governments and, you know, society, we need to make sure that we leverage whatever is available, whether it's public financing to unleash what we call the private financing that needs to accelerate the deployment of renewable into the market. And we need to leverage those in order to attract private financing to come in so we can do that rapid transition. So thank you so much.